Welcome. So here we are, September 2nd, 2019, ready to start a new academic year. And as per usual, I always feel massively underprepared. But I know by tomorrow when all my students come back, I'm going to be ready and I'm going to be in the zone and it's going to be absolutely fine. So I hope you've had a well-deserved break and you're raring to go. As per always, it would be lovely to get your comments below on the options that you're going to choose or any feedback that you want to give. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, give us a thumbs up, like the channel, subscribe. Everything helps us produce more of these videos. And once again, we are going to attempt to do one a week. So in today's video, we're going to look at Component 2's briefs that were published just a couple of days ago. Now I've gone ahead of time and looked at these and they all look fairly okay, nothing massively out of the ordinary. I haven't taken a look at the video yet, but we don't tend to go down the video route as it's all in the past, it's always been the hardest one to get the highest marks on. That being said, maybe this year will be different and it might be a good option. So we're going to start by just looking at the updates that have happened over the summer on Music Tech Student. And then we're going to look at the briefs that have just been published over on the Edexcel website. And then we're just going to have a little think about which ones we're going to choose. So a fairly straightforward one. So let's crack on. So over here on Music Tech Student, just give me 2 secs while I switch over. There's just been a couple of very subtle updates. So firstly, the courses page has had a big update. So that when you click on the courses, you're first presented with all of your courses for your students. So if you have a student subscription, all your courses are there and everything that you can access is there in one place, and it looks a little bit neater. We've also had a rejig of the color scheme, which I think looks brilliant, and I'm really happy with this. One of the biggest criticisms every year is it's not very easy to get to the content you want from where you are. So every year we try and improve this. So this year we've put this lovely button here that says Courses for Teachers. And by clicking on this button, it takes you to the teachers area. So the idea being is if you want to get to the courses page first and you think, oh, I can't find it there, it must be in the teachers page, you can very quickly just click on this. And then this will take you over to the teachers page. Now, at the moment, we're still lacking some navigation here, which we have to sort out. But if you scroll to the very bottom, you will get all of the latest courses. Now, one of the biggest things we've been working on is this assessment and reporting using Google Classroom. And that's gone really well. I'm still missing one video. I'm still trying to get the quizzes one done, but it's not massively important. So when you click on here, you get all the new videos, and the first one's open. It's free for you guys to have a look at. And this has been updated as well. So now when you scroll through, it's all in one consistent place. And then if you want to get back to the main content, you can just click on the courses menu. So everything that we've done as per the last 3 or 4 years has been to try and streamline the content. So we're currently working on a new course that will allow you to get access to these schemes of work for this. So you'll get all of the lessons and the scheme of work. We're currently working on year 12 and that should be finished probably in the next week, or at least the first 6 weeks will be finished in the next week. So you'll have all that to look at and reflect against. So that is pretty much everything that's happened over on Music Tech Student. So let's go and have a look at the briefs. So if you're not familiar with the Edexcel website, if you head on over to qualifications.pearson.com and then navigate to the Music Tech, the way I always get to it is just in Google, just type in Edexcel Music Technology and it's the first one that comes up. And then you can click on the course materials. Now it's important to note that when you're in this exams materials tab and it says new and locked, you do need to be a member, a teacher of the Edexcel website, and you can only gain access through your exam personnel, your exam department, or whatever you've got at your school. So you won't have access to these unless you have access to their website. So the one we're going to look at today is this one here. So just the A-level briefs for Component 2. You've also got the AS briefs for Component 2 as well, and you've also got the logbooks. I will cover the logbooks in a later video just to make sure there's nothing different there as well. So let's head on over. Oh, and also you've got the video and you've got the samples for the compositions there as well. So let's head on over to the actual brief. Sorry, just taking a quick video, just taking a quick drink there. So here's the brief. So it says component 2, and pretty much everything is as was in the previous years. So specification should not be published before September 1st. Recordings of the technology-based compositions must be submitted digitally in the format detailed in the administrative support guide. As of this date, that's still as a CD, but they will publish updates to that if necessary. So just keep an eye on that. Each candidate submission must be presented separately. So each candidate for every component has to have a separate CD. On that CD, it must be referenced with the paper reference, center name, candidate's name, and the candidate's number. And finally, it must be delivered to the examiner by the 15th of May, same as every year. So this particular piece is worth 60 marks. And it must last 3 minutes. So that's always a really important one, and every year we get questions about this 3-minute rule, on how much they can go below it, on how much they can go above it. And the way I always say this, well, if you were working in TV or you were working in radio, the stipulation of a very accurate amount of time is just so. If you don't get it exactly right, you will get charged for the extra, or you'll get penalized if you go under. So that 3-minute rule is very much the where you're aiming for. If you go 1 second under or 1 second over, no one's going to really mind. But if you start going 5 or 10 seconds under or over, you will start to get penalised for that. So just be very aware. Try and aim for that 3-minute rule. Then finally, you must fulfil the requirements of the number of vocals, instruments, and samples. So depending on the brief that you go for, that will be slightly different. So here's the overall of everything you've got to be doing. So sorry about this red line. I'm not sure why it does this. It did it to me last year as well, and then later on they updated it. So your mission is to create a technology-based composition using one of the 3 briefs. The technology-based composition must contain at least 6 parts. Any combination of vocals, instruments, and samples are accepted. You must use the following sound design methods in creating all instrumental parts. So you've got to use synthesis, sampling, audio manipulation, creative effects, automation, and real-time controls. In addition to this, you can also use MIDI virtual instruments and live recorded audio. So it's important to note that you don't have to use live recorded audio, because some departments do find this a bit of a mission, especially if you've only got one studio that can do the job properly. In my school, we've got a vocal booth, so this is never an issue. But if you don't have that, it's important to note that you don't have to include the recorded audio. That being said, it's if you're doing the vocal one where you're doing samples, you're probably going to need that. So samples and loops must be manipulated in order to gain credit. So that's obvious. Your logbook must be detailed. Your logbook must detail all of the original sound design, so synthesis, sampling, creative effects, and the sources of the samples. This isn't, as you go through the logbook, all of this is very, very obvious. The one thing I would say at this point is just make sure that you are filling in the logbook as you go. Even if you're not doing it on the official and you're just using a Word document to kind of just write all this stuff down, that's absolutely fine. A lot of my students lose track of the planning as they go, and the minute that happens, they're just grabbing from thin air to make it happen. So just be very aware of that. You must submit, missed a bit. You must produce a high quality stereo recording of the technology-based composition that pays attention to all aspects of production, so capture, balance, blend, EQ, dynamics, stereo field, and effects. You must submit your recording digitally in the format detailed in the administrative guide. So once again, it's currently CD, but just keep an eye on that, because I do think that will change. There was a couple of issues last year with making sure that it went on to the the actual files, the backup files went onto a DVD and things like that. So just keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's look at the briefs then. So brief 1, the video brief, 0 Day by Beeple. You've been commissioned to compose the music for this video. The composition should reflect the action, the motions, and the place of the film, and be timed to accurately sync with the sense and images. You must use the movie file located on the Pearson website and not any other version. You are not permitted to do Foley or dialogue. You must not sample audio from another version of the movie, and the composition must be 3 minutes long. So that's fairly straightforward. If my students end up going for this, the one thing I would make sure they do is obviously watch the video first, and then when they load the video up into Logic or whatever, just make sure they timestamp it, make sure they get relevant timing. So this is probably the hardest bit for students to do if the timing of the film changes. But you'll get a sense of that just by watching it and watching it on the timeline as well. This doesn't tend to be the one that I direct my students to. I feel that it's actually a little bit harder to get the marks for. So in the past, we tend to avoid this one like the plague. But if you've got any comments about this and you want to pitch in and say why you do it, that'd be great to hear. And you could put that in the comment below. That'd be fantastic for everyone to kind of hear. So brief 2. So this is the song-based brief. So Search Me. Create a composition using the poem Search Me by Brian Bilston. The meaning of the text should be reflected in the music. The composition may take the form of a song, which must include recorded vocals using the text. So if you go down the song route, you've got to use recorded vocals. So a lot of my students will probably go for this one because they want to record another song or as close to an original composition as they can. And if that's the case, this is always a really, really good one to do. So the next one, you can do it as a piece of contemporary music using audio samples created from recorded extracts of the text. So in the past, we've managed to find various recordings of this text, chop them all up and then reuse them, which is it's a great experimental task. And the fact that you can do it as a contemporary piece of music means that you can go very much into any technology-based genre that you want. So you can, if you wanted to go down a dance route and you wanted to sample the vocals and that, it's a really good one to do. Brief 2 is probably the direction I will send the majority of my students down. And it's important to note, once again, it's 3 minutes long, but that you use the majority of the text. You don't have to use them in the same order, and you don't have to use all of them, but it will need to be still recognizable as this poem. So just keep that in mind. If they start going way off track, they will get penalized for that. So making sure it reflects the brief is really important. You can get a lot of the information from the actual mark schemes for this as well. Okay, so next one and final one, the ocean floor. Now this one, it seems okay. It's not my cup of tea, but it could be yours. Once again, if you have any points of view about this, it'd be great to hear it in the comment section. So the ocean floor. In 2016, research scientists released recordings taken from the deepest parts of the ocean, the Mariana Trench. Among these were the mysterious Boatwang. I'm not sure what that is. Scientists have noted that it is possible to hear very distinct sounds underwater. And this is kind of going to be what you're going to end up having to do. So you're going to make a composition that's based on all of these sounds. You're going to have lots of kind of reverbs and delays and things. It's going to be, it could be a really good one. The thing that you should probably take note at is the next bit. If you want to carry on reading that, that's absolutely fine. So create an original composition that makes use of a minimum of 6 samples recorded beneath the ocean. Once again, must be 3 minutes. Now it's the way that you approach it you've got to look at here. So you can approach it in one or more of these ways. So you can approach it from the sounds of a particular underwater creature. So if you wanted to make it a whale song, you could kind of follow that path. The sounds taken from the ocean floor. So, this could be lots of kind of boomy sounds using reverbs and echoes to kind of generate the rhythmic pulses of these, which could be interesting. The noise pollution created by human activity in the sea, so that, looking at speedboats, looking at jet skis, looking at ocean liners, looking at the big kind of horns that they make and the way that they travel and they sustain. So that could be really, really interesting. And then mysterious sounds as well. So if you're into your kind of soundscape approaches, this is going to be a brilliant one. And you could look at a lot of the kind of I don't know, off the top of my head, the minimalist kind of movement there, where you've got these long sustained sounds. The one that comes instantly to mind is probably Thomas Newman and Nemo, and it probably came to your mind as well when they've got those lovely twinkly pianos along with the sustained strings and all the kind of atmospheric sounds. So that one could be an interesting one to do if writing a song isn't your student's thing. So I hope that was useful, and I hope you got a lot out of that. And if you've got any feedback and you want to pitch in, comment about the one that your student's going to do, it'd be great to hear from you. And maybe I might even go a bit more into depth into some of these, and we'll have another look if there's enough demand for it. Once again, if you like this content, you want to see more, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. All of this helps support it. All of this makes sure that you get these regular bits of content, and we can start sharing good practice of A-level music technology on a weekly basis, and we can start feeding back any information that you guys have, and the questions that I receive each week I'll try and put onto these. So I hope you guys have a great year. I hope you have great classes, and it starts lovely, and I'll see you next week.